So you have a loved one that needs rehab and you are trying to support them and figure out what is the best option for you, where to send them to. And there's so much out there. It's so daunting. My name is Jennifer Benneely, and I work a lot in this area with families that do have loved ones that are struggling with substance abuse issues. And this world can seem so overwhelming and daunting. You don't know what you're looking for, where to go. And I do this. So like in my area, I went out and I vetted a lot of places, and I can't do that in every area and get in touch with all of the rehabs because there are so many out there. So I had to start really kind of thinking about like, well, when I do go in there, what are some of the things that I look for? And there's quite a bit that I look for. I'm going to give you a few options. Here is, I'm going to tell you first, where are the places that I will like just scratch off my list and move on to the next one. And I'm not going to spend a lot of energy moving forward. So one of the first things that I look at, and here is where it starts getting dicey because I know I'm going to be getting a lot of emails or phone calls, that have people that are associated with rehabs, own rehabs or whatever. And I'm going to go through this list and they're going to get upset. I don't work for any rehab. So this is a very like unbiased, I don't have any skin in this game. So I can accept that some of the rehabs, they may like go through and watch this and get upset about it. And that's okay. We can have a conversation. And frankly, I can help a rehab do better. So anyway, one of the first things that I look at is how long has the rehab been open? This is a personal preference, but what I have noticed when I go into rehabs that have been open for a little bit longer, and when I say long, like 10 plus years, that's just my thing, is their programs are a lot more well-developed. They've figured a lot of things out. They've had enough time to really, figure out that one, males and females have a very different experience when it comes to substance abuse. They also have just a very different experience overall. They operate very differently. They are very differently. I'm not saying that one is better than the other, obviously, but whether we like it or not, males and females are different. And I think that's important when it comes to recovery. So that a lot of times when rehabs have been open for a little bit longer, they've been able to take that time and start really honing in on needs. I also look at holistic approaches. I am a fan of the holistic approach, basically meaning that they're looking at the whole self, not just the substance abuse, but some of the mental health aspects that have come along. And when I see something like holistic, I suspect and expect that there's a various different programming and like therapy things that they look for. So like art therapy, do they do cooking? Do they help people find the things that brings them joy in their lives again? That's not substance abuse, right? So they got to figure out how they're going to live life. And one of the things that's really important for someone that's embarking on this recovery journey is that they find the things that make them happy. Yes, they're going to struggle. Yes, they're going to have to go through all of these emotions, but what can really help balance that out is if they have hobbies, things they enjoy. What is the not even a career, just what sets their soul on fire, and I think that's really important for them to come back to that. And so the people that have been around a little bit longer have programs that are a little bit more aligned with that. They do those certain things. Having a psychiatrist can be really, really important. There's a whole list of reasons why having a psychiatrist that's either works for the rehab or is closely tied into the rehab, that your loved one can get help in terms of adjusting any medications that they may be on, or getting them on medications that they may need. A psychiatrist that is very, very familiar with this world can help wean them off some of the medications that they don't need and give them some of the medications they do, or take them off in a safe way, take them off certain medications, right? So I think that is really, really important. Family programs, that's near and dear to my heart. I always look for rehabs that do have family programs. And I'm saying that because I'm assuming that you are a family member that wants help in looking towards how to support your loved one. So that should also, while you're looking through rehabs, that should also be really important for you to consider, is how to help yourself through this. And family programs is important. So people that have robust family programs to attend and go to, I think it can really, really make an impact in the relationship that you have with your loved one and how you can support yourself. And not a rehab that says, yes, we'll work closely with you and talk to you while you're here, whereas we don't have a specific family program, but we will work with the families. That doesn't count. Sorry, doesn't count. Here are 2 pet peeves that will get people scratched off my list very, very quickly. And that is, how heavily do they lean on their rehab story, and how heavily do they lean on their accreditations? So if that is their primary focus, for instance, a rehab that when you go to their website, they throw a whole bunch of statistics at you that you want to see, which is like, oh, my rehab can help you, can help your loved one. We have a 50-80% success rate. So when people throw out success rates, what's the container of the success rate that they're looking at? Success rate as in graduating rehab and then your loved one is using in 30 days? Or like, what's the timeline of this? It's not, people leave rehab, but by and large, people can get through 30 days, 60 days of rehab. It's the afterwards that's the challenge. So how are they defining these success rates? And look, I don't mess with people that start throwing around a bunch of fancy statistics anyway. I just want to know, how is the facility going to help the people? That should be their main focus, not their accreditations, not their statistics that's misleading, and their rehab story. This is a dime a dozen, a rehab story. And I have found this to be true in a lot of places where, oh, well, I was looking for rehab for myself and I couldn't get the help that I needed. So when I got some recovery under my belt, I decided to start my own rehab, and I wanted to change the way that we handle substance abuse. That's a dime a dozen story. That's great if that's the truth. It's completely and utterly fucking meaningless to me. I don't give a shit. I get that we start rehabs because we want to help people, and we have to have a sustainable model in order to do so. I understand that. Rehabs need money. It's a very expensive because there's, especially the higher end that has therapists and psychiatrists, there's a lot of overhead. I mean, you got to have a sustainable business model. I totally get it. But what is the primary purpose? So when I go to a website, and this is just the bottom line, when I go to a website, how much is it about the rehab and how much of it is about the person with the substance abuse and how they're going to help them? That's what I look at. So if right in the front, they're only focused on their accreditations and they're only focused on their rehab stories and they're focused on all the statistics that are kind of misleading and meaningless, I scratched that off that list so quick. So anyway, those are the kind of some of the things that I look for. There's a lot to this, and this doesn't take into account the free rehabs and like all the other different I mean, there's so much that goes into this. These are just the top points that I hit, and then I dive a little bit deeper once I kind of have an understanding of that, I'll go a little bit deeper into getting to know a rehab and, vetting them and talking with them and really understanding that. And then I have a whole nother list of things that I look at when I'm talking to them. But anyway, this is like when I go to their website, these are the things that I look at, because that's your first place that you're going to start. So you probably have a lot more questions, and I hope you do, because this is tricky stuff. And, it's not a one size fits all. We want to make sure that your loved one gets the best help. And so this is kind of part of what I do. So, this is what I would suggest is, if you do have questions, I want you to feel free to reach out to me. We'll set up a call. Let me just know what you're looking for, and I can help lead you in the right direction. So you can either email me, Jennifer@ManiliConsulting.com, or you can go to my website. And my website is really about how you can help yourself in this journey that you have with your loved one who needs help. That's ManiliConsulting.com, MANEELY consulting.com. That's how you spell my name. And I am really looking forward to hearing from you. I think this is daunting. I think it's scary. I think there's a lot of misleading information out there. And I think it's important that you go into it with your eyes wide open. And that's part of the journey. And that's part of what I do. So reach out, the phone call that we set up is completely free. You really don't have anything to lose. You have a whole lot to gain. So I really encourage you to do that. So looking forward to hearing from you soon. And I hope that you have a great day.